Well, Slanjivar, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be in the world, and welcome to another broadcast. I'm your host, Conrad Zen, former Bitcoin Foundation member and evangelist for Pulse Zen. So, first of all, let's just have a quick celebratory snifter of Admiral Rodney's finest cask aged rum brewed here right in St. Lucia. And why? Well, today is November the 5th. And in British history, it's a very important date because back in 1605, Slanjivar, a young enterprising chap called Mr. Guy Fawkes, decided that he would get rid of not only the King James I, but the entire Parliament by blowing up the Houses of Parliament. Unfortunately, that little plot was foiled and he was found in the chamber with a lighter and barrels of gunpowder, which he denied anything to do with. I think what happened is that those casks were actually being used to distill whiskey. And I think he got overcome with the fumes. I think that's what happened. So alcohol, whiskey, changed the course of British history. And so for that, I will say Slanjivar and Happy New Year and Happy Guy Fawkes Day, Fireworks Day, whatever you want to call it. For those of you who are living not in the UK, what do you care? Well, today is a historic day, nevertheless, and I'm waiting for the appearance, as I'm sure you all are, of Corey Costa. Now, before we begin, some interesting developments a few moments ago. Corey Costa sent me a message, at about 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm not sure what time zone he thinks I'm on, asking me, or actually telling me what he would like to know on today's broadcast. And then this morning, he sent another message, this morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, saying that he didn't want to do a thing that I won't mention on his broadcast. And I said to him, fine, we won't do that. And I'd made a tweet saying that we were going to do a giveaway during the broadcast, not meaning his broadcast, but my broadcast, because you see, we can broadcast on one or two channels at the same time simultaneously. Yes, we have that technology. Anyway, so he said he didn't want to do that. I said, fine. I deleted the tweet. And I said, okay, send me the link, Corey. And I've heard absolutely nothing since. So we weren't supposed to start till 4:30, so I'll give him a few minutes to respond. I do hope he's okay. Although some people have said that they've seen a recent tweet from Corey suggesting that he would rather sleep in than actually interview me. So, I'm not exactly sure what is going on, but what is sure is I do hope Corey's okay, and if he wakes up in time, in the next 9 minutes and 10 seconds, then he can join us. I will send him a link for StreamYard, although I'm not using StreamYard here, but we have the technology, don't we, to bring him on? Yes, we do. We have the technology to bring Corey in when and if he ever wakes up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through, for those of you who haven't quite mastered the math behind Pulse Zen, exactly how it works. Now, I had a rather spiffing set of slides for last week, and I'm going to use the same ones again. So bear with me. But I guess before we continue, because I've got this set up to talk to Corey, I want to make sure that you can actually hear me. So if you can hear me in the chat, if you could just type a number 5 for me, otherwise I'll have to adjust things. So just type a number 5. Thanks so much. I'll wait for you. I'll have a little bit more, and I'll wait for 5. So I think we've got a lot of lag today. Boy, it's been a pretty interesting day today. Very windy, extremely windy, very cloudy, and yet no rain, which is very sad because down here in the Caribbean, we are extremely short of water. We could really do with some rain, that's for sure. And another funny thing that happened this morning. I went out to have a bit of a swim first thing this morning, and there's all sorts of stuff floating around in my pool. Turns out that it's bat guano. Now, I haven't seen this before, and so I was on a forum this morning talking about hex, and I asked the people there, what do you do with bat guano? What is it supposed to be used for? Because I had to drag it out of the pool, I had to skim the pool. And I didn't realize it's quite a good fertilizer. And then one young enterprising young lady suggested that I might like to use it as a face mask. So what do you think? Well, clearly I haven't tried it yet, but maybe I will. So anyway, back to PZEN. What's it all about? How does it work? And then we'll wait for Corey to arrive. So first of all, let's see if I can bring up these slides that we had last time. So if you remember, we talked about what it takes to get to $1 million in savings if you're age 30 right now. And if you went to a financial planner, he'd be talking about your cash flow, and he'd be telling you don't spend more than you make. He'd be telling you about risk management, that you have to look after your health, you have to have health insurance, you have to have property insurance. And he will try to tell you that if you start investing as early as you can, then you will make more money. Basically, the 88X rule is about compound interest, meaning that the longer that you have to earn interest, the more that it makes. And in fact, over his lifetime, it would make 88 times difference. Tax planning, well, we won't go into that now. So we looked at these figures before, and we saw that if you're a 30-year-old, to get to $1 million in the bank with an average interest rate, or even in the stock markets, because I've assumed a 9% return, which you ain't getting that in a bank. You may get some of that in a stock, possibly. And here's an interesting little point. What do you think is the worst performing stock this year? Have a guess. Put it in the chat. What do you think is the worst performing stock this year? Just put that in the chat. Okay, I'm not seeing the chat. Okay. Guess I'm a little bit behind here. Don't know why. This is life in the Caribbean. Here we go. Facebook, crypto ethos, you're absolutely right. Meta is the worst performing stock. And the best performing stock is actually BlackRock, the BlackRock Real Estate Investment Trust, which is really interesting because they rely solely on property investments. And of course, what's happening is the interest rates are going up through the roof and the returns on that fund are going to go down drastically. If you don't know what BlackRock is, you need to go and Google it. It is a very interesting company. Anyway, I digress. You're 30, you're having to save $270 a month. At 35, that rockets up to $452 a month. Okay? And then when you get to the grand old age of 35, you might have $1 million in the bank. But what does PZEN do for you? Well, this is what it could do, because we don't know what PZEN is going to do. It's an experiment. It's a socially engineered token. It's not an investment. You are likely to lose all your money. Let me repeat that. You're likely to lose all your money. Cryptocurrencies have traditionally gone up and down by 90%. There we go. I'm paraphrasing. It's all out there. No financial advice. You know what I'm talking about. However, we could play around with some numbers just for some fun. So just for some fun, we'll say that the average volume is $80,000 a month, a day, which is paltry, and that's what we're looking at the moment. So for every million PZEN that you own, if the price is around 0.006, which I think it is today, then you're going to be earning somewhere between 200 to 450 PZEN a day per 1 million that you hold. How is this possible? How does it all work? How on earth can it do this? We'll get into that in a minute. But just look at some rough figures. Again, this is just playtime. We don't know what's going to happen. This is just an example. It's an experiment. But if you were to do the math here, 450 a day at 0.006 is around $2.70 a day, which is around $985 a year. Now, if you were smart and you managed to pick up 1 million PZEN for 0.0048, you invested less than $5,000 US. a paltry amount of money. Well, not a paltry amount of money for a lot of you, a significant amount of money for a lot of you. But there, even at those figures, Pulse Zen would return for you 20.5% APY. That is ridiculous. In this bear market, in what we're about to see going forward, how would you not look at this and see or not see the opportunity that is staring you in the face? More about opportunity. Let me just go back to my story while we wait for possibly Corey or not. In the early 90s, the very early 90s, probably 1991 possibly, I was in Vancouver and I was reading the back pages and I saw an advert for a piece of software to do with transmitting text and images over a bulletin board system. Now, for those of you who are nowhere near my age, before the internet, we had bulletin board systems. And that meant that you could connect with your friends and you could chat in a text window and you'd be able to send messages. I thought this is amazing. Best thing since sliced bread. So when this guy said that you could transmit photographs at the same time, I was highly intrigued. Intrigued enough to jump on an airplane and fly out to his office, which was located in an amazing house, James Bond style, on the top of a cliff on an island called Salt Island. When I got there, he couldn't have been nicer to me, and he showed me his software, and it was called Imogen. You can go and look this up. Possibly it may have a reference on the internet somewhere. And I was so impressed by this idea that I bought the distribution rights for Europe for the Imogen software, not knowing what the hell I just got myself into. So I was living in the UK at the time, and I went back and I realized that in order to expand this amazing ecosystem, I would have to invest a lot of money buying modems. Remember, dial-up modems, all that sort of thing? But only that, I had to install the telephone lines for that. Now, at the time, I was living in a little stately home, not all of it, mine, in the middle of buttfuck nowhere. So it cost an arm and a leg to put internet in. Here I am, some 50 years later, having to do the same thing. I digress. So I got all this set up, tried to make this work, and I couldn't understand why the text and the images weren't aligning up. Little did I know that what I was looking at was a HTML browser. Imogen was the first HTML browser that was ever created, and it was done for a bulletin board system. I went on to put the access onto a floppy disk, which was distributed with one of the highest selling magazines of the day in the UK, and that's how I extended my bulletin board system. Unfortunately for me, about 6 months later, the internet was born. And so that was an opportunity that was definitely missed. I digress. I'll go back to the slides. You want to know how you make it. So there we are. Those are the figures. We're getting 20% APY. But as we said last week, this doesn't compound after every month. It doesn't compound after every week. It compounds after every transaction. So if you look at this, your 450 Pulse Zen, it will multiply, which means that the reason is because your Pulse Zen represents a certain percentage of the total market supply. Now, if you want to know what's going on with the market supply, by the way, you can check out the burn wallet and just see how many tokens have actually been burnt up to date. Quite a surprising figure, you will see. Anyway, your market share goes up, and so the next transaction, you get even more Pulse Zen in your wallet. But wait, there's more, because of the burn function that we just mentioned. Every transaction, the burn function kicks in, and it makes Pulse Zen a deflationary token at the same time. So what that means is that your market share goes up yet again because the total supply just got less. This is the magic of compounding rewards. This is the magic of this protocol. We don't know how it's going to go. Nobody knows. Nobody can predict this. It's not an investment. It's just a social engineered token. It's a social experiment. But this is the math behind it. You see what I'm getting at. And let's have some fun. We fast forward and we say, all right, so we're getting 500 PZEN through the PIF. And the price goes up a bit, goes back to 0.01. We've been there before. We're going to go there again, I'm sure, maybe even higher. How about getting to $1 before Hex? That'd be interesting. Anyway, that makes $5 US interest a day, approximately $18,000. And over your $5,000 invested, that is a staggering 38% APY. Where have we seen that figure before? It's astonishing. The math is immutable. This is what PZEN is designed to do, and it will be doing it forever and ever and ever. And don't forget, when PZEN eventually launches, more of that in a minute, we will get a copy on PZEN. So, if you're a 30-year-old and you invested for 35 years at that sort of interest rate, you would be sitting on a pile of $377,580,242.82. That, to me, is astonishing. But what that does is it shows you exactly the power of compounding. Compounding rewards on steroids. This is the magic behind this protocol. And once people begin to understand what this is all about, no lockup, no staking. Look, we are not competing with any other protocol. And what I mean by that is there is no scarcity of wealth. There's plenty of wealth going around. It just needs a better redistribution system. And this is what this token is all about. You can see it happening in your own wallet. You don't have to look at these numbers. Look, these numbers are doctored in that they are simplified. They really are simplified. It's a little bit more complicated than I'm presenting to you. I'm just going to check to see whether Corey has woken up. Otherwise, we'll have to progress on. Just give me one moment. Let me see if there's any messages from Corey. And no, it looks like Corey is decided that he wants to have a nap. So, sorry, matey, you had your chance. However, look, I'll tell you what we can do. Corey sent me a list of questions that he was going to ask me just this morning. So why don't we go through what he was going to ask me anyway. I won't do an American impression because I'm rubbish at that. But here's one interesting thing. What Corey doesn't know is we have something in common. I actually used to be based in New York. Yeah, I know the town very, very well. Granted, I live most of the time in the Marriott Marquis in Times Square and the St. Regis, but I did have an apartment for a while down in the Village, and I know the town very well. Interestingly, when I moved to Hong Kong, people would always say to me, well, what's Hong Kong like? Because nobody knows what Hong Kong is like because nobody's gone there. Why would you? Especially now, although I better be very careful what I say there. But I used to tell them that Hong Kong is just like New York on steroids, because it really was back in the day, before the communists took over. Did I just say that? Yeah, I really did just say that, and it's absolutely true. For good, bad, or worse. Only time will tell. But what we do know about China is the biggest economy in the world. Shock horror. Did you know that? Did you know that China is bigger than America? The Chinese economy is greater than the American economy. Did you know that? You want to look at what's going on in the world. You want to try and understand the politics of what's actually happening on the world stage and realize that the US government doesn't like that fact. And they are doing everything in their power to reverse that fact to pretty much everybody's detriment. Anyway, before I get banned on this channel, let's carry on. So good old Corey, I'm afraid you're out. You should have made an effort to wake up, matey. Never mind. Okay, so do you want me to go through the list of questions that Corey was going to ask me? Put a 1 in the chat if you'd like me to continue, or shall we just wrap it up? All right. Okay, I think we want to know what Corey was going to ask me, so let's just see. So, first question he was going to ask me was, how did I get into cryptocurrency and the blockchain? what philosophies and ideals associated with this space aligned with your own? Good question. You see, Corey has had some media training. Not quite sure what his background was, but he knows how to ask questions. I'll give him that. Unfortunately, he's not here to ask them, so I'll have to do it. Clearly, I got interested in cryptocurrency with Bitcoin and necessarily the Bitcoin blockchain. What philosophies and ideals did I associate with? Well, none really. I'm not really a libertarian at heart. I just love the technology. I just love the idea of using an electronic means of transferring wealth around to my friends and colleagues and all that jazz. I thought this is amazing. To the extent where I began to get very, very interested in it. I tried to mine it. I had a QT wallet at the time. And then I heard that there was a Bitcoin Foundation. Now, living in Asia at the time, I contacted the guy who was in charge of setting up these sort of like chapters around the world. And I applied to become the chapter affiliate for Asia. And there's a guy called Mark Woods who I chatted to there. Now, back in the day, you had to be nominated, and they were very keen for you to donate some Bitcoin for the cause. And why not? I did. And that's how I got involved. And then Kevin Beardsley was the guy who actually admitted me in. And then, you know, it was just around the middle of 2014, I think, when I first joined. There'd been lots of debacles going on before I got there, that's for sure. You can just read up the history about what happened. But the guys that I normally hung around with were Jim Harper of the Cato Institute. Francis Poulet was there. And then I also supported Theo Chino when the New York State was trying to introduce bit licenses, and they fought tooth and nail, an expensive fight, by the way, to try and prevent that from happening, which sadly we lost. And then there were people like Michael Tumin, Oliver Jansen, and then, oh my God, God bless him, or not, Cody Wilson came on the scene, and then Jim Harper resigned. And in around 2015, the association was actually bankrupt. And they didn't tell anybody. They were trying to keep it a secret. And then when it all came out, there was all sorts of fuss, and I just thought, well, you know, I'm not doing anything here, because my self-appointed role within the excuse me, the Bitcoin Association was, I was extremely interested in trying to develop the ecosystem of payments to merchants. How could a merchant get paid in Bitcoin? And I teamed up with BitPay to install their software on this machine, the iPhone. Remember when it first came out? I think, actually, when was the first iPhone made? 2007, maybe? Anyway, so 2014, 2015, I was running around installing this software on merchants' phones and saying, wow, look at this. You can get paid in Bitcoin. And here we are, fast forward 14 years, and there are less people now accepting Bitcoin for payment than there was back in my day. So Bitcoin, although it spawned the whole cryptocurrency world, and it is the granddaddy of them all, we've moved on. Technology has moved on. Why don't people understand that? There are better things out there. Vitalik Buterin came along and gave his programmable money. For one. Anyway, so that was a good question, Corey. Thank you very much. Now, what else do you go on to ask? He said, my entrance into the Hex and Pulse Chain community ecosystem, or Pulse Chain, came much, much later. I heard about it by a YouTube video. I can't remember the guy's name, and he was actually slating Hex and Richard Hart. But he mentioned an interesting word. He said the word T-share. I don't quite understand what that meant. So I checked out as much as I could about Hex, and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. Okay, in between 2015 and then the ICO phase and all that rubbish, by the way, any YT influencer that you see online that has over 1 million followers from 2017, they were a paid shill. All of them, every single one of them, they were a paid shill. With that amount of subscribers and being online since 2017, that is their pedigree. Be warned. Sorry, I'm getting a bit upset there. I don't know why. So yeah, I checked it out. I thought it was amazing. And I invested a bit of money. Bought a little bit of X. Quite a lot of X. then my background is in traditional finance. Well, I've had several careers, but I was a banker, I was an investment advisor, and I still had friends in the traditional finance world. Told them about Hex, and they said, "You've just been scammed." And so I got flooded out. The main protagonist for Hex got flooded out right at the very, very beginning. That's funny. So, and then I looked at it a bit more, understood the math a little bit more. It was very confusing at the beginning. The information coming out was terrible. Didn't quite understand Richard at the time. I thought he was a very strange character. Not everybody's cup of tea, that's for sure. Anyway, I bought back in, and from then on in, I decided, you know what, this is a fantastic idea. It is programmable money. It's the first sort of recognizable financial instrument that's on the blockchain. Let's try and tell everybody about what this opportunity is. And then Richard introduced the, referral system, which I didn't understand in the first place at all. And then I did, and then I realized that other people could just use it. And, you know, that's how I got involved in Hex. And I love talking to people about it. I thought it was a fantastic idea. And there we are. That was my history. So then, it all died down a bit. Nothing was happening. And then Richard came up with the idea with PulseChain. Because, of course, the thing that killed Hex, well, not killed it, but, you know, has destroyed a lot of projects, is Vitalik's idea of gas prices. I mean, it's just lethal to the whole ecosystem. It is definitely something that needs to be fixed. And Richard came up with the idea of doing PulseChain, which was a fantastic idea. He was very clever in the way that he marketed it, very clever to get the money in to actually get the development up and going. But we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Now, I'm not a developer, and it's not up to me to make any disparaging remarks about the delay in PulseChain. It is what it is. But I think this is what happened, and this is just my opinion. And I'm not dissing anything. I want PulseChain to be launched ASAP. I think Vitalik Buterin just pulled the wool over everybody's eyes. Nobody imagined that he was going to be able to move Ethereum to proof of stake. And he did it all by himself. I kid you not. I have friends within the Silicon Valley circuit. And the programmers that work under Vitalik Buterin, and there aren't that many of them, by the way, they all said the code is spaghetti code. There are so many commits, so many things. Nobody understands what the heck is going on anymore, except one person, Vitalik Buterin. And I can guarantee you that Vitalik Buterin sat in his bedroom and coded the whole thing by himself. Well, maybe not all by himself, but he is the de facto guru of this, and he made it happen. And he blindsided everybody by doing it almost overnight. And he actually got the miners blindsided as well. Clearly, the Chinese are not very happy, and they've continued with the ETH proof of work. Good luck with that. But that's how it happened. So we lost the first mover advantage. But here's the thing with PulseChain. Even though there are lots of other layer ones, with PulseChain, the key point is that it will be much, 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 much cheaper than any other chain. That is key going forward. It may be a little bit faster, I don't know. The problem that Richard's got is the development speed at which Ethereum is being developed. There's all sorts of work going on. Oh dear, excuse the noise, we are definitely in the middle of the storm, and here comes the water. That I'm very thankful for. Wow, that's a lot of water. I didn't know there was a hurricane coming. Hope this continues on. Anyway, I'm waffling on a little bit. So where am I on PulseChain? I just hope it comes out. Now, when I launched PulseChain, actually this is the next question. It says you recently created PulseChain. Why and where did the idea come from? Well, it's very simple. Everything was going flat. Everybody knew that PulseChain was delayed. Nothing was happening. Hex is going sideways. They're all getting scared and confused. And I just thought, you know what? It would be very easy to inject some life into this market. And I was developing this for PulseChain because PulseChain will do nothing unless there are projects to run it. It's all very well being cheap. If there's no projects, I mean, you can't just have Hex. If there's no projects, it won't go anywhere. So I looked around And all I was looking for, I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. I just thought there must be something that's already out there that is good, but just needs some tweaking, some copy and paste. After all, what is Pulse Chain? It's copy and paste. What is any cryptocurrency? It's copy and paste. All the functions have already been written. The programmable functions for Ethereum they're not that many. Okay? There's not that much extra you can do. But way back when, I don't know when it was, I think it was Reflect or what was it called? Something Finance, Reflect Finance, I think. They came up with the idea with splitting payments into different wallets. And that's how it all started. That's where everybody got their idea from. And I thought, this is, actually, you know what, this works. This really does work. So we did some numbers and some more numbers and some more numbers, coming up with a formula with the ratios that seemed to be the most equitable was very difficult. And we spent a lot of time on those numbers. And boy, you know, it's just mind-boggling how it all interacts. You launch something, and then the nuances of what you've actually released and done only come out after real-world usage. It doesn't matter how many Monte Casino models that the guys do. You're never really going to know how it's going to go until it's in the marketplace. That's for sure. So we launched. Obviously, there was a lot of comments from the Hex community, which blows my mind away. I am the protagonist and still a protagonist for, you know, financial freedom. Hex was one of those products. PulseZen is one of those products. And of course, on Corey Costa's channel, we had good old David Feeder, who's a great network guy. He's not really a finance guy. And so he came on and said, this is a copy of SafeMoon, this is rubbish, Conrad's a scammer, and we all know where that went from then. So there's one thing that I would like to show everybody, and this is something that you should do. You need to do your own research. What is PulseZen? Where's the code? What is the code doing? Where did the code come from? So let me just see if I can bring up something. Oh dear, there is the wealth gap. It's not looking good. Wait 1 second. Boy, it's just gone up to about 1,000 degrees in here. There's Corey Costa's screen, completely blank. Sorry about that. Anyway, you can do this at home in your own time. If you go to, there's a couple of websites you can use. There's a Honeypot, I think. Somebody can type that in the chat. And then there's this one, Token Sniffer. Now, what this does, Token Sniffer is an automated program to give you some idea about whether the coin that you're about to put your hard-earned money into is a scam or not. It doesn't work, by the way, because the real reason that any of this stuff is scammed is because of the people behind the project. That is the key point. 99% of scams are all caused by human beings, not the code. Nonetheless, all you have to do is to put the PulseZen contract into the token sniffer, press the button, and hey presto, it comes out with these automated responses. And we've got a paltry score of 30 out of 100. Not very good, you might say. However, this is an automated system and it doesn't really tell you the real truth. But I do want to point out some things that are very, very important. That a lot of furus and a lot of so-called coders who don't know the first thing about coding got terribly wrong with PulseZen and fudded an enormous amount of people out of what is an amazing opportunity. But let me just go through them, okay? Bearing in mind that I'm not a developer. But anyway, the token is sellable. It's not a honeypot at this time. We had a glitch in V3 right at the very beginning. Uniswap knew about it. They didn't fix it. We had to fix it. That's where that happened. The buy fee is less than 5%. That's correct. It's 2.2. The sell fee is less than 5%. That is correct. It's 2.2, not 2. Verify contract source. Now, here's the other thing here. One of the things that David Feeder, and I'm pulling his name up because he's the one that said the most. He said that it had admin keys, right? How many of you understand what an admin key is and what an admin key does? That's the first question. How many of you know that? So here's why you need to understand what an admin key is. Did you know, for example, with PulseChain and the exchanges, the swap has an admin key. It has an admin key. Admin keys are not inherently bad for any protocol. How they're used is what the bad thing is. Now, when they looked at this code, they saw that there were certain things in the code that could be changed. And they classified that as admin keys. Oh, admin keys bad. Admin keys scam. Admin keys not good. Me no buy. Okay? SafeMoon copy. So, the thing is, these are not coders. And when they read the text, what they're looking at is comments, and the comments are garbage. The comments are superfluous. The comments mean nothing to how the function of the code works. I prefer function over aesthetics, as I've always said. So going back to the admin keys, the admin keys cannot be used. They can't be used. Why is that? Because nobody has access to the contract. It can't be written by anybody. It cannot be written to. It cannot be changed. It is a mutable code. Immutable code. It means it can never be changed. Whatever PZEN is doing for you today, it's going to be doing forever in the future. So the admin key thing that people told you about is nonsense. Is the creator authorized for special permission? No, he is not, whoever he may not be. It says the creator wallet contains less than 5% of the circulating supply. No, oh my God, it's got 7%. All other holders possess less than 5% of the circulating token supply. What's the note there? A wallet contains a substantial amount of tokens which could have a large impact on the token price if sold. Notice the words, if sold. If all the PZEN that was available to sell was on the market to sell, it would crash the price. Hey, guess what? You put all the houses that are for sale, all the houses up for sale, every single house up for sale on the market. What's it going to do to the price of the houses? It will crash. What would happen if all the Ethereum in the world was put on the market for sale? It would crash. What would happen with Bitcoin? If you sold all the Bitcoin that was available, the price would crash. This is a parade of horribles that will never happen. So you can see how this automated system doesn't really give you the true picture. Is there adequate current liquidity? Big tick. Yes, it says. Was there adequate initial liquidity? Oh my God, here it is again. Of course there isn't. When you launch a token, you don't put loads of money in it at the beginning. You do that 2 seconds later when you know it's working. Creator wallet contains less than 5% of the liquidity. That is correct. Now, here is a very, 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 very important statement. Similar contracts. None. Can you see that? Similar contracts. None. Oh, I thought it was a copy of SafeMoon. Really? Where is the code? Granted, there will be functions in the code that are exactly the same as they are in SafeMoon and any other code that has a tax, because that's how it works. It has to. There's no other way of doing it. Similar contracts, zero. PZEN is a unique contract. So there we are. There's a little automated thing. Perhaps I should have said this 2 months ago. Maybe not so many people will get flooded out, but hey, not up to me. It's up to you to do your own research. There we go. So that was an interesting question that Corey didn't ask. So let's see what else he asked, because he might have some more. What do I think about the kickback from the Hex community? I don't think anything of it. Look, they're coming from a mindset of scarcity. There's lots of wealth around. We're not competing with Hex. I probably hold more Hex than all of you in this chat put together, and then some. So why would I want to knock Hex? Of course I'm not going to knock Hex. It's ridiculous. Anyway, moving on. What's next for you and also PZEN? Very good question. PZEN is an organically created token. Do you realize that it took nearly a year for Bitcoin to have 1,000 holders? Nearly a year. So look, we're 14 years later. We have a brand new protocol. It's been flooded out of existence by morons. Sorry, not morons, people who just didn't do the homework properly. People who wanted their 5 minutes of glory. And so from this point on, going forward, it can only grow. And the way that it's going to grow is like any other cryptocurrency, is by having eyeballs on the project. But the most important thing, people keep saying about the community is important. Of course the community is important. But the fact of the matter is, if you have a duff piece of code, it doesn't matter how many people gather around that protocol, it will fail. Protocol first, community second. Which one's more important? Well, they're both important, but the protocol has to work first. It has to do what it says on the tin. And that's exactly what PZEN does. The more and more people that get involved in the project, then the more the word gets spread. And you'll be surprised how much and how quickly that can happen. And let's face it, we are all so early into this game. In the entire crypto space, we are all so early. PZEN is only just 2 months old. There has been zero marketing. I launched this to my followers. It wasn't to hexagons, it was to my followers on Twitter. I didn't do any videos about this. I just wanted to see how my followers who engaged in my content would react to this token. It wasn't shilled to hexagons in the slightest. Now, notwithstanding, there's a lot of hexagons here. Why would there not be? If you made your money from hex, then it's time to diversify, that's for sure. But look, PZEN is an alternative play. There's no lockup, there's no staking, it just does what it says on the tin. Throughout my career, which I've had many, and lots of businesses failed and otherwise, the one thing that I'm really, really good at is, number one, seeing an opportunity where 2 and 2 makes 5, and then explaining that opportunity to other people. Now, it's entirely up to you. I'm not giving you any financial advice whatsoever. I'm not saying put your money into PZEN. I'm not saying that. I don't work for you. I don't work for anybody. But I'm excited about the protocol. I'm excited about the cryptocurrency space. And I'm excited about seeing how collectively this economy, and it is a new economy that we're getting into, and how this economy is going to grow going forward. And I quite like doing it. It's quite fun for me. I mean, look, what else am I going to do? When I get out of bed in the morning and I press the button to open the electronic shutters, looking out on the beautiful Caribbean Sea and my one swimming pool there and my other swimming pool here, and getting the maid to come up and pour my coffee, I don't actually have to do anything else. I am fulfilled. That's all that has to happen. If I get up in the morning, it's another day that I'm alive. I am fulfilled by that. But boy, this is fun, right? This is fun, and this is what cryptocurrency should be all about. It's fun. It's time to put the fun back in cryptocurrency. Everybody's so scared. You know, everybody comes from a mindset of scarcity. It doesn't need to be like that at all. Wealth is not scarce. We just need a better redistribution system. And as far as I'm concerned, PZEN is it. You may not think so. Not everybody's going to agree with me, and that's fine. But the code cannot be changed. It is immutable. And you can see what it's doing every single day in your wallet. You don't have to take my word for it. You don't have to look at these graphics of all the math and everything. Just see what's going to happen. And then just watch. Just watch what happens as the volume starts to trickle up. And don't forget, in this bear market, we don't care if the price goes down or the price goes up. Because at the moment, what you should be bothered about is the PIF. That's it. And that's clearly down to volume. Well, it's also down to price, of course. You can't get away from the price aspect of it. But the value of the token will be dictated by the community. Now, the market. But the market isn't always right all the time. Be aware of that. Everybody says, oh, the market's always right. It ain't always right. The markets aren't always right. That's where the opportunity is. And right now, with the price, I think you have an amazing opportunity. But look, that is my humble opinion. And don't forget, I hold PZEN. You know, I do hold PZEN in my wallet. And will I sell some of it? Maybe, maybe not. We don't know. But what did the OA do? What did Hex do when, I'm not going to say that no coins were sold because I don't know, but not a lot of coins were sold. I'll go for that narrative. I'm not going to go behind the narrative no coins were sold because who knows. But the fact of the matter is, there's 3 things that are important in cryptocurrency, not 2. There's the protocol, there's the community, you lot, and there's the founder. I think that is important. Now, the founder, you can remove me, everything still works fine. And when I'm dead and gone, guess what? PulseN will live on forever, as it will on PulseChain, as and when PulseChain launches. When's it going to launch? Who knows? My best guess, Q1. At the earliest. At the earliest. Exciting times. I'm very sorry that Corey couldn't get here. I gave you a chance, Corey. And to be fudded out of your own YouTube channel is outstanding. But hey, look, I get it. You're a young guy. You're a hustler. That's why I gave you the chance. I wanted to speak to you because you're a hustler and you deserve it. So there we are. I've rambled on quite a lot today, all by myself. Do we need a question and answer session? It can only be in the chat. Unless, no, we can't do it because Corey, let me see. No, Corey didn't turn up at all. So, any burning questions in the chat then that I can answer? Let's see. Let me go back. Let me just see. Okay, excuse me. I have not set up for this, so I'm going to scroll back a little bit. Chakra, Meta, yes, you were correct. Coinbase, yeah, pretty much. Gold, yeah, listen, gold's been down for over 40 years. Crypto Freedom said Meta as well. Tortellini said Coinbase, Meta, yeah, you do your homework. Black Eagle said Meta as well. Crypto Ethos says anything attached to real estate is going to get crushed. That is for sure. Serpico, hi all from Spain. Buenas noches. I used to live in Spain, in Puerto Banús. Yeah, an amazing place. PulseN is a better payout than T-shares. Crypto Steve says that. Crypto Gut says hello. Mr. Profit 74, do I need to get 1 million PZEN? You get as much as you can be comfortable with, or not. Black Eagle says, I'm going to hold my PZEN for 30 years for you all. Well, thank you, Black Eagle. But remember, you're free to do as you wish. You could sell it after 5 minutes if you wanted to. Jacker says, hello from Germany. I'm going to say guten Tag to you. And I've lived all over the place. I used to live in Berlin before the wall came down. Very interesting story. You probably have seen some of my videos, actually. I was once arrested at Checkpoint Charlie. Yep, that's how old I am. Poor show, Corey. Well, you never know. You might be ill. I don't know. Corey, that's too bad, brother. Sorry, but super unprofessional. Yeah, look, let's not make any judgments. I don't know why I didn't turn up. Yeah, don't forget all the people that don't want you to know about PulseN. Once again, it's just ridiculous. They have a tribe mentality, which is brought on by the fact that they're confused. They don't know whether they've invested in the right coin or not, and therefore they want to be with people who've invested in the same coin. It's complete and utter nonsense. You have to separate emotion from logic. If you're in a line and, one guy selling you a hot dog for $2 and another guy selling you the exact same hot dog for 50 cents from the same cart, where are you going to line up in? The one that's $1 or the one that's 50? You're going to jump across the one that's 50 cents. The one that makes the most sense to you economically. It doesn't matter that all your mates are staying in the same line. Jeff Woods, hello to you. Wani, hello again. B-Hex C. Leonardo Mardones, hello to you. You also were here. Crypto Steve, I said hi already. JC. Something, investee, and Sergey Ivanov. Yeah, I can't read Russian, I'm afraid, but you're welcome. Oh, it may not be Russian. Sorry, it may not be Russian. It's acrylic, but I can't read it. Mr. Profit 74, did Conrad do the giveaway yet? A little bit of a problem with that. One of your states in America has got some very silly laws. So we're just sorting that out before we do the next giveaway. Cheap, says somebody. Extremely desirable. I'm PZEN Daily. I suggest everybody use multiple accounts for comments like subs and pros. Yeah, go make an account for yourself, your wife, your grandmother, your dog, whatever. Diamond PZEN hands, absolutely. Crypto Surfer, organic growth is better. Yes, it is. But don't forget, nothing to stop you from telling as many people as... Sorry, I'm absolutely sweating, Jeff. That's disgusting. It's about 150 degrees in here now. I had to turn off the air conditioning so you could hear me. JC says you can see the data on Dex Screener. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Clearly we're being gatekept by CoinGecko. Thank you, CoinGecko. Please, everybody, leave them alone. We're working on them. Hexed 111. Oh, I lost your comment there. What did you say? Not sure about that. How many new wallets are we getting a day? Roughly, no idea. ODS says a 10 million burn. If you look at the burn wallet, you can see how many coins have been burned. Yeah, so very low, JC, but it's early, but you saw the figures already. You saw the figures on the screen. That's from today's figures. Crypto Freedom says, are you thinking about doing any marketing for PZEN? Absolutely not. Any suggestions for the community? No. We want to build our PZEN community. We need more direction. Why? It's your coin. You have to do the marketing. You have to tell people. I'm not working for you. I'm not doing anything. I do have a lot of interesting things to go to, though, in the next couple of months. That's going to be interesting. Would it be interesting if we saw PulseN on billboards? What do you think about that? Not too sure about wrapping taxis. Don't think that was a great play. Car sponsorship, maybe one of you wants to do that, I don't know, but then of course you've got to make sure the car wins. It'd be terrible if you sponsored a car that lost races. Don't think that's very good. Look, there's a marketing Telegram group, all right? Got some ideas that you want to action all by yourself because you're doing the work. Throw them in the chat there. Who knows what might happen? Leonardo Mardones says, will the Bernardes get also PIF tokens? No, Leonardo Mardones. They do not get the PIF tokens. Look, if we did that, when we ran all the models, we had the option of doing that right at the very beginning, but it clearly is not a good idea. So no, good question. CryptoSteve says, don't forget the like button. Tortellini, love that name. Community makes the PZEN great. It does. Look, I said that the code is the most important thing. Well, no, clearly the community is also extremely, extremely important. Look, I must have gone on for over an hour now without Corey being here. Do apologize for that. Nothing I can do, I'm afraid. I'm surprised that he didn't make an attempt to message me directly, but hey, there we go. Much more to come next week. The marketing telegram is going to be very interesting, I think. Who knows what may come out of that, indeed. And of course, who knows who I might be talking to. Only for entertainment purposes. None of this can be construed as investment advice, and I'm certainly not telling you that you should put your money into PulseN. Completely the opposite, because we all know that cryptocurrencies crash by 90%. And some of them don't get back up. Conrad, do you have any wealthy friends interested in PZEN? I don't think I can answer that. JC, what is Telegram rank? JC, if you go into the main Telegram group, you should see the link pinned to the top. The Coin Critic says, can you discuss the burn wallet and how it's being used for burns? How do coins end up in the burn wallet? Well, it's an automatic function of the code. For every transaction, the burn takes a percentage and it gets put into that wallet. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, without personal interaction, I'm sure you might be getting a little bit bored of my dulcet tones. So I will say, Slanjivar, thank you so much for rocking up anyway. Without Corey being here, I do appreciate each and every one of you. God, it's so much fun. I can't wait to organize the first meetup. Planning it already, by the way, regardless of, it doesn't matter what happens to PulseChain or even what's going on with PulseChain going forward. As you know, I spend half my time in San Francisco, up in Sonoma, so I will be organizing a small gathering in Sonoma next year. And all the details of that will come later on. That will be fun and exciting, I'm sure. Any other last questions? Have you tried Hennessy Paradis. Did I tell you what, on my last flight with Emirates, you know they have the bar down the back. I met the marketing manager for Emirates on that flight, and he was actually the buyer of all the fine cognacs, whiskies for Emirates. And my God, I think by the time I got to Heathrow, I tried them all. So I may have done, I just don't remember. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I will wish you a very good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Have a fantastic day wherever you are. I do hope it's a little bit cooler for you than it is for me. My iPhone is now warning me that it's overheated, which means I'm definitely overheated. So I'm off. Oh, and to my replay viewers, I'm very sorry that you missed live. Thank you very much for joining as a replay watcher. I really appreciate you as well. Don't forget, put your comments into the comment field. Please subscribe and like. Apparently, this is what you have to do as a YouTuber. So I need more subscribers, apparently. So there's a button down here somewhere that says subscribe. I don't even know what it does, but you have to subscribe. That's what you have to do. Follow me on Telegram. Follow me on Twitter. Ask Conrad Zen. And in fact, all the content creators, of which there are many who are producing pretty interesting content for PZEN, go and follow them. You talked about marketing. There can't be any better way than word of mouth marketing. And for social media, liking, subscribing, commenting on everybody's little channels is steroid word of mouth marketing. I better go. I've run out of words. I'll see you in the next broadcast. And there'll be more details about the giveaway for next week coming up. Some legal issues that we have to be aware of.